Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other socials for more. Enjoy. As the newlyweds drove off into the night, tin cans clattering behind their car and "just married" scrawled on the back window, Willa felt a sense of completion she'd never experienced before. But she also knew this was just the beginning. The honeymoon was a whirlwind of sun-soaked beaches and romantic dinners, but Willa found her mind often drifting back to the shop. She had ideas, so many ideas, for how to expand and improve Rosalind Bridal. "You're thinking about work again, aren't you?" Sophia teased one evening as they walked along the shoreline, the setting sun painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. Willa grinned sheepishly. "Is it that obvious?" Sophia laughed, pulling her wife close. "Only to someone who knows you as well as I do. Want to tell me about your latest brainwave?" And so, with the rhythm of the waves as background music, Willa shared her vision. She wanted to start a mentorship program for aspiring designers, with a focus on providing opportunities for LGBT individuals interested in the fashion industry. She dreamed of hosting workshops on body positivity and self-acceptance, using the transformative power of beautiful clothing to help people see themselves in a new light. "I want Rosalind Bridal to be more than just a shop," Willa explained, her eyes shining with passion. "I want it to be a place of transformation and empowerment, just like it was for me." Sophia listened intently, asking thoughtful questions and offering suggestions. As the last light faded from the sky and stars began to twinkle overhead, she pulled Willa close. "You're amazing, you know that?" Sophia murmured against her lips. "Rosalind would be so proud of everything you're doing." Willa felt her heart swell with love and gratitude. "I couldn't do any of it without you," she replied. "You're my rock, my biggest supporter." "Always," Sophia promised. When they returned home, Willa threw herself into implementing her new ideas. The mentorship program was an immediate success, attracting talented young designers from all over the country. Willa took particular joy in nurturing their talents, remembering how Rosalind had done the same for her. The workshops, too, proved popular. Willa partnered with local therapists and body image experts to create a holistic program that went beyond just finding the right dress. Participants left feeling not just beautiful, but empowered and confident. As the shop's reputation grew, so did the challenges. There were long nights poring over budgets, stressful days dealing with difficult customers or delayed shipments. But through it all, Willa never lost sight of why she was doing this. Every time a bride found her perfect dress, every time a mentee showcased their first collection, every time a workshop participant stood a little taller and smiled a little brighter, Willa was reminded of the transformative power of self-acceptance and authentic expression. One particularly busy Saturday, as Willa was juggling multiple fittings and a last-minute alteration emergency, a young woman entered the shop. She was visibly nervous, fidgeting with the hem of her oversized sweatshirt and avoiding eye contact. "Welcome to Rosalind Bridal," Willa greeted her warmly. "I'm Willa. How can I help you today?" The woman, barely more than a girl, really, looked up, her eyes wide with a mixture of hope and fear. I'm not sure I should be here," she stammered. I haven't—" Understanding dawned on Willa. She recognized that look, that hesitation. She'd seen it in her own eyes not so long ago. "You're exactly where you should be," Willa said gently. "Why don't we go to the private fitting room and talk?" Over cups of tea, a tradition Willa had maintained from Rosalind's days, the young woman who introduced herself as Amelia shared her story. She was at the very beginning of her transition and had never worn a dress in public before. But she'd always dreamed of being a bride. "I know it's silly," Amelia said, staring into her teacup. "I'm not even dating anyone, but I just wanted to know what it felt like, even for a moment." Willa reached out, covering Amelia's trembling hand with her own. "It's not silly at all," she assured her. "And I think I have just the dress for you." She returned with a simple A-line gown in ivory satin. It was a dress Willa had designed specifically for transgender women, with clever tailoring that created the illusion of curves while providing extra coverage in areas that might cause dysphoria. "Would you like to try it on?" Willa asked. Amelia nodded, her eyes never leaving the dress. Willa helped her into the gown with the same care and respect she showed all her clients. When Amelia turned to face the mirror, her gasp was audible. "Is that me?" she whispered, reaching out to touch her reflection. "That's you," Willa confirmed, blinking back her own tears. "That's who you've always been, Amelia. The real you." Amelia burst into tears, but they were tears of joy and relief. Willa held her as she cried, remembering her own first time seeing herself in a wedding dress. When Amelia had composed herself, Willa shared her own story of transformation. She told her about Rosalind, about the long journey of self-discovery, about the challenges and the triumphs. "It won't always be easy," Willa said, "but I promise you it's worth it, and you're not alone. You have a whole community of people who understand what you're going through and want to support you." By the time Amelia left the shop, she stood a little taller, her smile a little brighter. She hadn't bought a dress, that would come later, Willa knew, but she had gained something far more valuable: hope. That night, as Willa recounted the day's events to Sophia over dinner, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. "I want to do more," she said. "There are so many Amelias out there, feeling lost and alone. I want to reach them all." Sophia listened thoughtfully, then said, "You know, I've been thinking. My firm has been looking to expand its pro bono work. What if we partnered with Rosalind Bridal to offer legal services to transgender individuals? Help with name changes, discrimination cases, that sort of thing." Willa's eyes lit up. "That's brilliant! We could create a whole network of support, fashion, legal aid, mental health resources." They stayed up late into the night, brainstorming and planning. By the time they went to bed, the seed of a new initiative had been planted. Over the next few months, Willa and Sophia worked tirelessly to bring their vision to life. They reached out to other businesses and organizations, building a coalition of supporters. They applied for grants, organized fundraisers, and rallied their community. The result was the Rosalind Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting transgender individuals through every aspect of their transition journey. The foundation offered everything from wardrobe consultations and makeup tutorials to legal aid and counseling services. At the grand opening ceremony, Willa stood before a crowd of supporters, her heart full to bursting. Sophia stood beside her, squeezing her hand encouragingly. 10 years ago, Willa began, her voice strong and clear. "I walked into a bridal shop, confused and afraid. I didn't know who I was or where I belonged. But one woman saw the real me even when I couldn't see it myself." She paused, glancing at the portrait of Rosalind that hung prominently on the wall. "Rosalind gave me more than just a job. She gave me the courage to be myself, to embrace my true identity. And now, it's our turn to pay that forward. The Rosalind Foundation is more than just a resource center. It's a promise that no one has to walk this journey alone." As applause filled the room, Willa felt a familiar presence. She could almost hear Rosalind's voice. "Well done, my dear. Well done indeed." In the years that followed, Willa watched with pride as the Rosalind Foundation grew and flourished. Hundreds, then thousands of individuals found support and acceptance within its walls. Rosalind Bridal continued to thrive as well, known not just for its beautiful dresses, but for its inclusive, welcoming atmosphere. Willa and Sophia's family grew too. They adopted twins, a boy and a girl, filling their home with laughter and love. Willa delighted in teaching her daughter about fashion and design, while marveling at her son's budding interest in law, clearly influenced by Sophia. As she approached her 50th birthday, Willa found herself reflecting on the incredible journey of her life. From that first day in Rosalind's shop to now, running a successful business and foundation, she had come so far. One evening, as she stood in front of the mirror adjusting her outfit for a foundation gala, she caught sight of a few strands of silver in her hair. Instead of dismay, she felt a rush of pride. She had earned every one of those silver strands, every laugh line, every moment of joy and sorrow that had brought her to this point. Sophia came up behind her, wrapping her arms around Willa's waist. "You look beautiful," she murmured, pressing a kiss to her wife's cheek. Willa leaned back into the embrace, meeting Sophia's eyes in the mirror. "Thank you," she said, and she meant it for so much more than just the compliment. As they drove to the gala, Willa's mind wandered back to that first day in Rosalind's shop. She remembered the fear, the uncertainty, but also the first glimmer of hope. She thought of all the lives that had been touched because of that one moment, that one act of kindness. At the gala, Willa took the stage to give a speech, looking out over the sea of faces, some familiar, some new, all united in their support for the Foundation's mission. She felt overwhelmed with gratitude. "Every day," she said, her voice ringing clear through the room, "I am reminded of the power of acceptance, of the magic that happens when we allow ourselves and others to be truly, authentically who they are. That is the legacy of Rosalind Bridal, of the Rosalind Foundation, and of Rosalind herself." She raised her glass in a toast. To authenticity, to acceptance, to love in all its beautiful, diverse forms, and to the journey that brought us all here tonight. As applause filled the room, Willa felt a sense of completion. She had taken the gift Rosalind had given her and multiplied it 1,000-fold, touching lives in ways she could never have imagined. And yet she knew this was still just the beginning. There was more work to be done, more lives to touch, more love to spread. But now she wasn't alone. She had Sophia, her children, her friends, and an entire community standing beside her. As the night wore on and the gala wound down, Willa found a quiet moment alone. She slipped outside onto a balcony, gazing up at the stars twinkling in the velvet sky. "Thank you, Rosalind," she whispered to the night air. "For everything." And somewhere, somehow, she knew Rosalind heard her. The breeze seemed to whisper back, carrying the faintest scent of lavender. As Willa made her way back inside, she caught sight of a familiar face in the crowd. Amelia, the young woman who had come into the shop years ago, was now a confident, radiant presence. She was chatting animatedly with a group of supporters, her smile bright and infectious. "Willa!" Amelia exclaimed, spotting her mentor. She excused herself from her conversation and rushed over, enveloping Willa in a warm hug. "I've been looking for you all night." Willa returned the embrace, marveling at the transformation. Gone was the shy, uncertain girl she had first met. In her place stood a self-assured woman, resplendent in a deep burgundy gown that accentuated her curves. "Amelia, you look stunning," Willa said, holding her at arm's length to take in the full effect. "Is this one of your own designs?" Amelia nodded, a proud blush coloring her cheeks. "It is. I've just launched my first collection, actually, and it's all thanks to you and the Foundation's mentorship program." "Nonsense," Willa chided gently. "We may have given you the tools, but this talent, this vision, that's all you, my dear." As they caught up, Willa learned that Amelia's line of clothing was specifically designed for transgender women, combining fashion-forward designs with thoughtful, dysphoria-minimizing cuts. It was exactly the kind of innovation Willa had hoped to inspire when she started the mentorship program. "I have something to ask you," Amelia said, her expression turning serious. "My collection is going to be featured in New York Fashion Week next month. I was wondering if you'd consider modeling one of my designs on the runway." Willa blinked in surprise. "Me? But, Amelia, I'm hardly model material. I'm 50 years old." Amelia shook her head emphatically. "That's exactly why I want you. My collection is about celebrating trans beauty at every age, every stage. And you, Willa? You're an icon, a pioneer. Having you on that runway would mean everything." Emotion welled up in Willa's throat. She thought about the long journey that had brought her here, about all the times she'd doubted herself, about the strength she'd found in embracing her true self. And now, to be called an icon? A pioneer? It was almost too much to process. I'd be honored," she managed to say, her voice thick with unshed tears. Amelia squealed with delight, hugging Willa tightly once more. "Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, this is going to be amazing. I already have the perfect dress in mind for you." As Amelia excitedly outlined her vision, Willa felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to see Sophia, eyebrow raised in amused curiosity. "Do I want to know what's got you two so excited?" Sophia asked, slipping an arm around her wife's waist. Willa laughed, leaning into Sophia's embrace. "Oh, nothing much. I've just agreed to become a runway model at the ripe old age of 50. Sophia's eyes widened in surprise, then crinkled with laughter. "Well, it's about time someone recognized your supermodel potential. I've been saying it for years." As the three women chatted and laughed, Willa felt a wave of contentment wash over her. This was what it was all about. Fostering connections, nurturing talent, celebrating authenticity in all its forms. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Between running the foundation, managing the bridal shop, and preparing for her runway debut, Willa barely had a moment to breathe. But she wouldn't have had it any other way. Amelia insisted on keeping the design of Willa's dress a secret until the final fitting, building an air of anticipation. When the day finally arrived, Willa found herself uncharacteristically nervous as she stepped into Amelia's studio. "Close your eyes," Amelia instructed, practically vibrating with excitement. Willa complied, allowing herself to be guided to the center of the room. She heard the rustle of fabric, felt the cool touch of satin against her skin as Amelia helped her into the dress. "Okay," Amelia said at last. "Open them." Willa's eyes fluttered open, and she gasped. The woman in the mirror was a vision in shimmering silver. The dress hugged her curves before flowing into a dramatic train, its intricate beadwork catching the light with every movement. But what truly took Willa's breath away was the back of the dress. Delicate lace formed a pair of wings, stretching from shoulder to floor. Within the intricate patterns, Willa could make out tiny roses, a tribute to her mentor and friend. "Amelia," she breathed, unable to tear her eyes away from the reflection. It's you," Amelia said softly, coming to stand beside her. "Strong, beautiful, ready to soar. This dress isn't just about fashion, Willa. It's about transformation, about becoming who you were always meant to be." Tears pricked at Willa's eyes as she turned to embrace the younger woman. "Thank you," she whispered, "for seeing me, for understanding." As they parted, both wiping away tears and laughing at their own emotion, Willa felt a familiar presence. For just a moment, she could have sworn she saw Rosalind's reflection in the mirror, smiling that knowing smile of hers. The day of the fashion show dawned bright and clear. Backstage was a chaos of designers, models, and stylists, all rushing to put the finishing touches on their looks. Willa stood in the midst of it all, a calm eye in the storm. As she waited for her turn on the runway, she thought about all the twists and turns that had led her to this moment. From that first day in Rosalind's shop to now, about to walk in New York Fashion Week, it had been an incredible journey. "You ready?" Amelia asked, appearing at her side. Willa took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "Ready as I'll ever be." As the music swelled and Willa took her first step onto the runway, she felt a surge of confidence. This wasn't just about her, or even about Amelia's designs. This was about representation, about showing the world that beauty comes in all forms, at all ages. The lights were blinding, the crowd a blur of faces. But as Willa reached the end of the runway, time seemed to slow. She paused, allowing the photographers to capture the moment. And in that instant, she felt truly, completely herself. As she turned to make her way back, Willa caught sight of Sophia in the front row, beaming with pride. Their eyes met, and in that glance was a lifetime of love and support. Backstage once more, Willa was engulfed in a flurry of congratulations. Amelia was ecstatic, praising Willa's poise and presence on the runway. But it was Sophia's quiet words, whispered in her ear as they embraced, that meant the most. "Rosalind would be so proud of you, and so am I." Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more wonderful content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.